Welcome back to the Ag Week Podcast. We're here today with the guys from Larson Farms. We have Chet Larson and Doug Larson, who are here at the Full Pod in West Fargo, an event put on by Crary Industries. I mentioned it before, but the weather is really, really nice out there, so I'm glad we're here for it. We're going to do a little snow angel making later, probably. You guys are from Minnesota, so it's not like it looks out of left field.
Yeah, we're familiar with this this weather. Granted, this is kind of the first big snowstorm
of the year.
Did you guys have some on the ground before?
Not much.
No. How has moisture been where you guys are?
On the light side.
Yeah, it was extremely dry this summer. Started out super wet.
Yep.
Planting season was horrible, and then it just turned off. And
so this is kind of welcome.
I don't know.
Hard to say.
Does snow help, or does it all run off? My opinion is most of it all just runs off because the ground's froze.
And there's not that much moisture. There's a lot of moisture in this snow, that's for sure. But
yeah, that's
for the most part, it's...
Yeah, I think we're all froze up now, so usually maybe if it thaws
slow
in the spring, it ain't going to hurt anything.
That's
but it's more for the fish and the ducks.
It's nice for get some ground cover.
Right.
So the frost don't go so deep. That's another... Get in the field earlier. If the frost isn't 6 feet deep, it seems to...
Topsoil isn't blowing away either. Hard to do that under.
We got a nice. Well, before it snowed when we left, it rained. It rained pretty good. So
did it really? Okay.
I'm sure it's froze over the top crust now, and so yeah, it's definitely.
Well, good. Let's hope
in the right direction.
Does the right thing for you, not floods you out this spring, but time will tell. So you guys are here. You guys, in addition to farming in, would you say southwestern Minnesota? Western Minnesota?
West Central.
West Central, okay.
Yep.
You guys operate a YouTube channel.
We attempt. We
try your hardest. You make videos.
Try to do our best, yeah.
It's just cool that you guys are finding the time. We'll talk a little bit later about how you find time to do both and maintain relationships and all that stuff. But let's start out with a doozy of a question. What is the single biggest challenge to your operation today?
I would say just management decisions. Our farm has grown a lot, so we've got more employees now. Do a lot more tending to employees, keeping equipment going. Is kind of my
you have salaries. You have
my job role has
feelings.
changed from actually being the guy driving tractors to making sure they're driving the tractors and keeping them going, giving them seed, fertilizer. What's your biggest challenge?
Yeah, keeping everything clean after they mess it up. No, I used to be mostly just a shop mechanic, keep everything going. Now Chet, a few years ago, kind of stepped into that because he knew everything I knew because he was always stumbling around behind me.
Following you around, that's perfect.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
Yeah, actually, I think maybe my life has gotten a lot into just organizing this, keeping stuff from getting too out of control.
Exactly. Yeah. So you guys, in addition to being partners with Crary, you guys use their equipment on your operation.
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
How has the Crary Wind Systems benefited your operation?
We have always had the Crary air reel.
Okay.
Since what? I'd say early 90s, 92, 93 is when we had a real bad drought in 88, and we were so sick to our stomach watching all the little beans come to the center of the head and fall right off.
Just wasting.
It was horrible. It was. So then we didn't really know anything about an air reel. I think it was a few years after that, then we seen there was something made.
And then everyone said that fast forwarding from the actual bigger heads, drapers, everyone's like, yeah, draper, you got to get a draper. You don't need wind on a draper. Yeah, we tried that on 30 acres and then called Crary and said, get us a wind bar. This is...
30 acres is all it took.
It don't work. Right.
Same thing, you're losing them. And
it's head shatter. It's unbelievable. I think if it don't... In taller beans, you pick up the yield gain from sickle shatter. Like
Sure.
if they're potted really low, they explode, and that wind just kicks them into the head.
Instead of leaving them in the field.
Within reason, I've always said that I don't think if you run an air reel, I don't think you'll ever harvest beans below 28 bushel or 30 bushel unless you got some crazy drought that you just have nothing but.
What are the yield improvements like? I suppose it's been so long that you've been using it, it's hard to know what it would be like without them.
I know what it looked like without it, and it's just like, this ain't happening.
Yeah. If you do have a problem, didn't you wear out a tube or an air hose? So
you weren't using it for a while?
Well, all of a sudden I'm combining along and I'm like, God, something just ain't working right here. Like, what's going on? And I look over and the tube's ripped it on a fence post.
Oh, okay.
And lost all my air pressure and noticed that right away.
Okay. It don't feed as even. And
you knew before you saw that something was wrong.
Feeding a lot.
Sure.
Especially when it gets wet or dewy.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. What would you guys say is the single most important reason for success? And we talked about challenges. What do you guys think success hinges on for your operation?
Just
don't waste money.
Don't waste money.
Yeah.
Don't make
Just
poor decisions.
make sure your decision is the right one before you purchase whatever you're thinking of, because there isn't a lot to be wasting.
Well, especially when everything costs more.
Right.
Even less room for error and your judgment. No, that makes perfect sense.
Don't say no to opportunity. I would
take
say.
risks a little bit.
Yeah.
Calculated risks, I suppose.
But don't be scared to branch out of comfort zones.
Like starting to make YouTube videos when you're busy farming.
That's maybe to the extreme.
Right. How do you guys find time for both?
It's just kind of become, you make time now. At first I wouldn't maybe do one a week or one every couple of weeks or whatever I could personally edit. Then once started hiring editing done, it's pretty easy then. It's pretty easy to crank out more content. For the most part, the filming is us working. So, I mean, that part...
It's a part of your workflow. Turn on the camera. Why not?
So that part don't really take too much time unless you're like getting out, stopping equipment, put cameras on, stuff that gets to be very annoying. But realistically, don't take 10 minutes out of your day. It's the phone calls, the emails. It is a business.
Absolutely. So and if you don't treat it like that,
that takes time.
Yep.
Which is a part of the other business of farming. So you just do it. Make time. It is a part of our farm now, I would say.
Why is making farming videos so important to you guys?
Well, it all started out, I just like to entertain people. I never thought I did until it got on Instagram, Snapchat, and people are like, gosh, you make me laugh, and you guys are just fun to watch. And then it's kind of rolled into YouTube, and it's like, I really enjoy watching ourselves in our day. And there'll be a time when I'm maybe Dad's age looking back and being like, God, I used to have hair. Or, man, that was fun. I remember that day.
I used to be way funnier.
Or I thought I was funnier.
Right. That's probably more like it. Yeah. What was I thinking? The memories that you're building, I mean, with video that you can just look back on, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Who would you say your intended audience is? Who's the target audience? And then thinking about that, are you reaching those people or others?
I guess what I intend it to be, other farmers, is a big one, because that is a part of our videos.
Yep.
But trying to reach the uneducated city people about what farming is
people who don't have a connection, or maybe a distant connection.
Which
my uncle farmed, and I grew up like that.
I am amazed at how many of those do. I would say our main is other farmers.
Sure.
Main viewer, but there is a lot. I get emails, comments quite a bit of, I've never had anything to do with farming, and I don't know why I watch your channel, but it's fascinating.
It's a good problem to have, right? Like,
Yeah.
more people want to watch you. That shows you're doing a good job beyond just talking about farming and how things work on your farm. That makes sense. I kind of know this question because we've been talking a little bit today here at the Full Pod, but do you guys like the spotlight?
Like this? No.
No. When we talked about earlier, like at farm shows or being noticed by people.
It comes with, well, it's something did you ever think it would happen? I didn't think that was going to happen. I mean, you start posting videos and you get a couple hundred views and pretty soon a couple thousand views, and then it's just out of control. Right. I mean, you don't even know, and
you guys travel in a pack too, so it's not like you can just disguise
so like
yourselves.
going to farm shows Dad loves going to them.
I always used to go to all the farm shows with a few guys or friends of mine, and I don't know, I quit doing that, or I don't ask them to go because I know that it's changed that.
It'll turn into something else.
It's where fans they just want to talk, and that's great, that's fine, but I can't no longer go to farm shows and farm show like a farmer.
Right. So, if you're going to go, it's going to be. That makes sense.
So, I mean, I won't complain about it, but
it's really hard to complain because people like what you're doing.
It's a massive blessing. It's just different, very different.
How's the work-life balance? Is there any work-life balance? Like, is it all rolling into one? I mean, farming is like, it's a job, but it's also a lifestyle, so that's hard the way it is, but.
Depends what type of year it is.
Sure.
This year was very labor-intensive summer with tornadoes coming through the yard. We try to take weekends off unless we're planting or harvesting. So we generally get our weekends, but other than that, no, there's a lot. We pretty much eat, sleep, and breathe farming. Right. And then you're making videos. And then you're making videos on top of that. So
I think it's
constant something.
We're getting a little into the weeds, but just knowing how it works, knowing that you're not sitting down at the computer and doing the editing has to be a relief.
That was
obviously a big expense, but at the same time, I could see myself, if I was doing it, I'd be like, do I really want to take a video of this? Because then I got to sit down and go through it. When you don't have to think about that, you can probably make more content, feel better about it.
And it is easier. I wouldn't have friends or family time or life. I'd be editing on the weekends all weekend and at night till I did it for a while, and I realized really quick that wasn't going to continue happening up till 1 o'clock every night trying to edit. It's like, no, thank you. No. And it's not an enjoyable job either. Right.
That's not the glamorous part. That's not the cool part. It's great when it's done and if you feel good about it, but no, that's not fun. How do you guys unplug? How do you get away from it all?
What's that even mean?
Yeah, what's that mean?
Something we need to work on maybe for 23.
Ask Mom.
If you could do it all over again, knowing what it's like, would you go down this road again?
Oh, definitely. It's benefited us in so many ways. Just connections with
meeting people,
connections with companies.
Yep.
We get to do a lot of cool experiences that YouTube has taken us. If you just want to talk about on the experience side of things, has been a lot of fun.
You get to hang out on the Egg Week podcast with me, which is like going to Disneyland almost.
It's changed me a lot to get me out of the
off the farm
zone, and I was very shy person before.
Yep.
You kind of get used to it, and you get pushed out in front of big cameras and mics, and don't know what you're doing, but you get to be more comfortable with doing it.
Yeah, you guys do great, so it makes perfect sense. I would have never guessed.
Dad's still working on the comfort level, getting out.
That'll get better, huh?
He's doing it. He's here. That's the best way to get over it.
Yeah.
What does the future hold? What's next for Larson Farms?
I don't know. I would say just continuing on.
Yep.
Obviously want to grow the channel.
Yep.
But it's the internet and the algorithm. I mean, I can't do anything really.
Kind of beholden to what Google wants you to do, pretty much.
Yeah. So, and farming's repetitive, so every year's different.
Yep.
So conditions can change, equipment can change.
You've got past years worth of videos to look back at the analytics and say, well, this is pretty popular. We should do this in a different way this year, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and since we post so consistently, we try to do 3 a week.
Okay, that's good.
So if you're doing 1 a week or 1 a month, you could really make some really good ones. And thumbnail is a huge thing. Well, when you're in the shop turning wrenches, what thumbnail
boring, right?
are you gonna get a good one of? I mean, the video is good, but how do you?
You have to get their attention,
in?
right? Get their attention
And it's
in the
hard.
first place.
That's hard, you know. And then every once in a while, you see that one that just did great. It's because of the thumbnail.
Really?
It might be a
that
picture of
important?
something shiny with, you know, maybe a little clickbait wording.
Yep.
Like, I don't do clickbait, but it's a
hook.
enough to get them in there, and then they get engaged. And so generally, if you have one that really does good, it's probably not the content that's involved
As much as the other stuff?
As much as just more people clicked on
That
it.
makes sense. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys for the insight. Thanks for being here at the Full Pod.
Yeah.
Thanks for being a partner with Crary so I can meet you guys. This is great.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Ag Week Podcast. We'll be back with more from the Full Pod in West Fargo, North Dakota.